Sterling every damn night. Peter Thiele has sex appeal. Sterling every damn night.
Hey, it's Peter Thiele. I'm in for Walter M. Sterling tonight, and it's awesome. My neighborhood, by the way, is absolute chaos. Absolute chaos, and I have a feeling you can relate to this. You can relate to this very easily. My neighborhood is chaos because my next door neighbors, Sheila and Brad, really nice people. I mean, you wouldn't want to think of having neighbors like this. They have 45 Halloween either giant skeletons or inflatables all over their yard. I mean, completely all over their yard. And thus, now we have people driving through the neighborhood. They even have the animatronics. The animatronics are just absolutely bonkers. And people are driving through the neighborhood, and they're like stopping, sometimes yelling. It's really disturbing. Now, the good news is Brad and Sheila turn it off about 10 o'clock, so that's nice. But that being said, I'm dealing with this. So my first year living in this house, they sort of started to get on my property a little bit on this, and I'm not like a bad guy to be around. I just said, you know what, just the heck of it, allow that. And by the way, if you're going through this in your neighborhood, or maybe you are the Halloween people, 888-688-9258. That's 888-688-WALT. And you can be a part of the Walter Sterling Every Damn Night Show, Peter Thiele being in there. So the people are driving through my neighborhood, and it is absolutely insane. Now, these folks last year, not this year, last year they have security cameras all over their yard. It's you can't take a step onto their yard without a security camera catching your image. There was actually a woman last year who walked onto their thing and started kicking their animatronic item, which I think was like a $600 purchase. I mean, these people, God bless them. They're nuts, but they're great. And the Halloween people are, a real goofy deal. So I don't know if you're going through that in your neighborhood. Are you having to go through the crazy stuff I have to see with the neighbors and the Halloween? And I'll just tell you this. On year 2 of me living in the house, they're beginning to set up for Halloween, which they start on August 1st because there's so much junk to go through. Sheila always has some sort of an injury. So her poor husband, Brad, is busy setting things up. He's setting things up on his off hours. And so this poor guy, in fact, I go in and I just go bring him a beer because that's what kind of a good guy I am. So I told him year 2 I was there, I said, you know what? Feel free to take up as much of my yard as possible. And so they have taken up since then up to my driveway, which is a pretty good swath of land. And they take it up every year. Totally nuts, totally crazy, but that's what they do. Are you going through that in your neighborhood? 888-688-WALT. Call in with your thoughts, because I'd love to hear about that. The wonders and the craziness of how people go through and do the Halloween. So here's the other thing about this. Now, you'd think this would make my first 2 years living in that neighborhood, I bought a lot of Halloween candy. A lot. And I mean, I had stacks and stacks of it because they were telling me they had 600 people come to their door the previous year. Here's how many people came to my door. 4. So the parents were driving up in their SUVs. Their kids were running through traffic because the neighborhood's nuts. And Sheila and Brad give away full-size chocolate bars. Full-size, Butterfingers and Hershey's with almonds and the whole bit. And I felt kind of like I was left out because my first year living next to them, I gave out nature's candy. I gave out individually wrapped prunes. And you can get them, by the way. They're fantastic for Halloween. Absolutely fantastic. Because it helps the kids with their regularity. And the most important thing you can have is a regular child. You want them going to the bathroom on a clock. And they're eating so much candy, they're getting so much stuff into their system. You might as well give something healthy out. And this doesn't happen anymore. But back in the day when I was a kid, you'd go through the neighborhood and there would be people handing out apples. And probably my favorite, and again, doesn't happen anymore because everyone's scared about people throwing, razor blades and fentanyl into stuff. They went out and I'll just tell you, those popcorn balls, those are rocking. Those are really, really good. And that doesn't happen anymore. So, year 2 of these folks as the neighbors, I upped my game. And I got a retro candy. I had to order it on Amazon because you couldn't get it at any of the local stores because, quote-unquote, political correctness. I went and bought a bunch of candy cigarettes. Awesome candy cigarettes. And the little creepy kids. Now, generally, when I was a kid, you showed up, you opened up your bag, you said trick or treat, and you put nice people throw the candy into your bag, you thank them, you move along. The little creep last a couple of years ago now, I'm throwing the candy cigarettes in there. And he reaches in and looks at his mom and he goes, I don't know what this is. I have concerns I should be taking it. I mean, this snotty little kid was like 7. That's the type of crap I've had to put up with. So your Halloween stories, because this week, coming up, Thursday night, little ghouls and gremlins will be out, and they will be there and handing out stuff to unsuspecting children. And I'll tell you one of the stories from my childhood coming up. You're listening to Sterling Every Damn Night. And it's Peter Thiele in for Walter Sterling. Sterling Every Damn Night. I am broadcasting from Radio Central, Des Moines, Iowa, of all places. My next door neighbors, we're talking about Halloween, my next door neighbors, their entire yard is filled with inflatables. They have 8 of those giant skeletons. They're like 14 feet high, including 2 with the pumpkin heads. And when they turn them on, it's you see the skeleton like breathing fire. It's amazing. On top of their house, they have a giant spider. And they do this every year. And they've invaded my land. I've accepted that because Brad and Sheila are good people. These are the type of folks that you'd want as your neighbor. They're polite. The only thing is the Halloween. Okay? And I just figure I can't change people. People are driving through our neighborhood constantly. even during the day. And I walk my dog. I have a dog named Maggie, who's a Brittany, and I'm walking through the neighborhood. And it's totally insane, completely nutty. And the people that go through, primarily mothers with children. And the mothers are much more excited most of the time than the kids. The kids are just certainly going, come on, Mom, can we go home? I want to play Xbox. It's, where's my cheesy poof? Give me something. But they're pretty excited about it. And I don't know if this is going on in your neighborhood. I'd love to hear about it. 888-688-WALT, W-A-L-T. I'm Peter Thiele in for Walter M. Sterling on Sterling Every Damn Night as we explore the lives that we all live. And Thursday night is Halloween. It's as soon as that sun goes down, the ghouls and goblins will be going through my neighborhood. Now, you'd think my next door neighbors who, last year they claim they had their biggest year ever. They had about 650 kids show up at their door. And they give out the full-size candy bars. Butterfingers, Hershey's, Mounds, Almond Joy. You name it, they've got it. You think they'd come over to my house? I'm literally, the driveway, my driveway is next to their display. But no, doesn't happen. And when I was a kid, and I don't know about you, the whole Halloween thing, once you got, your parents went with you till you're like 8, something like that, and then you were a feral. You got to be about 9 years old. You and your crew, you were feral, going block to block, trying to go house to house. There was a kid about, really when it's all said and done, walking, was probably over a half mile away, maybe even closer to a mile, going through these neighborhoods. And the kid was his name was Richard, and he was kind of a jerk. But Richard's dad worked for one of the candy companies, and they gave out those full-size bars. So you can guarantee it. I was making my way, and my crew and I, we were making our way to that house. We had the rule in my household, you had to be home by a certain time. I think it was like 8:45. So 6 o'clock happened, and we were running through neighborhoods, collecting as much sugar as we possibly could get. And my parents had one rule only. You absolutely cannot eat a candy until you come home. Because you never know if there's going to be razor blades, pins, or whatever in the candy, which never happened. You are listening to Sterling Every Damn Night. I'm Peter Thiele, and coming up, we're going to be talking about cool things to give the kids. Thank you for listening right here, Sterling Every Damn Night.
Fast every hour, only right here on Sterling Every Damn Night.
Peter Thiele has sex appeal. Sterling every damn night. Boom, boom, Hollywood. Sterling every damn night.
Boom, boom, Hollywood. Matthias, welcome to Sterling Every Damn Night.
How are you, Peter? You're doing such a wonderful job for Walter tonight. We're all now thinking from coast to coast about our neighbors' displays and, maybe giving prunes to the kids so they'll be regular. It could happen. I don't know, but it's been a great show. Thanks for sitting in Walter's seat tonight.
Thank you very much. Well, individually wrapped prunes, and I'll tell you what, when you have leftovers, here's what I do. I go around the office and I put a wrapped prune on everyone's desk.
How does that go over?
I don't care. It entertains me. And really, what's the best thing? Is it giving or receiving? For me, it's giving.
There you have it. I think it's a great point. Well, let me give you about a little news about what's in theaters this week. There's a new movie out called Conclave. This is based on Robert Harris's 2016 bestseller, in which a cardinal, played in the movie by Ralph Fiennes, is tasked with leading a conclave of 118 cardinals to elect a new pope. And at each turn, he encounters ambitions and secrets that these holy men, with whom he is sequestered in the voting process, that may upset the whole process. It's a really tight drama, really exciting, has you on the edge of your seat till the end of the picture, and some good cast in here. Not only do you have Ray Fiennes in one of his best performances, you've got John Lithgow as a cardinal who may have a few secrets or two, and Isabella Rossellini, the gorgeous woman who is the daughter of Ingrid Bergman, plays a nun who may know more than she's saying. This is great entertainment from a great director.
Let's talk about her for a second. She is still is absolutely gorgeous. But in her day, she was just a gorgeous woman and an amazing actress.
Agreed. I mean, we all remember her in Blue Velvet, where she just knocked it out of the park. She was amazing in that.
Yeah, absolutely. So what else is opening?
Well, that's about it for now. There's a new DC comic book movie, or rather a Warner Brothers comic with the Venom, which has a fine actor in it, but it's not doing very well at the box office. I did fail to mention Stanley Tucci is also in the movie Conclave, which is worth seeing. But it's been a slow movie week. Next week, we'll have a few more, and hopefully we'll talk about that. Ben?
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, and thank you for being in. We'll look forward to your report next week. You're listening to I'm Peter Thiele. I'm in for Walter M. Sterling. It's Sterling every damn night. We've been talking about Halloween, and it's coming up on Thursday. I remember as a child, I grew up in suburban Minneapolis, and one particular winter, or one particular Halloween, it was like 10 degrees. So my mom had to vamp. So I think my brother and I went as snowmobile riders. And I think my sister went as like an ice skating girl. It was a heck of a deal. It was vamping at its finest. Being in a place, for Halloween, it's about dry. Temperatures around 50 is perfect. But if you're like in Sacramento, it may be a lot nicer in Sacramento. Or you may be in some of the warmer cities that you can hear right here on Sterling every damn night. By the way, if you want to be a part of the action, we encourage you, highly encourage you. 888-688-WALT, W-A-L-D. That's 888-688-WALT. I'm Peter Thiele, in for the Walter M. Sterling. The other thing having to do, it's if you run out of candy too early. I've had that happen. So all of a sudden, you're having to turn off the lights to your home. You're going in and you're turning off the lights to your home. You're turning out the outside lights. You're playing like no one's there. So you have to go to like a back room. And you may have a basement, which we have it right here in Des Moines. You can just go down to the basement and turn on the old TV and watch some wonderful TV, or listening to the wonderful radio, like on your radio station you're listening to right now. You can go and do that. But once you run out, it's going in from there. So the individually wrapped prunes, I brought this up as one of the choices I've given away for Halloween. And you may say that this is just like setting me up to having my home egged. This ain't the 70s and 80s where that would have happened. Immediately, your home would have been egged. Not anymore. You can go and do that without having your home egged. And again, the kids are not going door to door. They just are not hitting the neighborhood like they used to. And I kind of think that's a crime, because whenever you can go out and enjoy the wonders of going out and doing that searching as a kid. We've sort of taken that away from children. We really have. The news stories coming out, by the way, it's how many of these celebrities that have endorsed Kamala Harris, how many of them have been to a Diddy party? And how many of them are scared? There's video of them participating in the craziness that would happen in a home that had liquid cocaine, allegedly, 1,000 bottles of baby oil, and freak-offs. So the P. Diddy feller, I don't know about you, but I'm beginning to think he's not that good of a guy. I don't think he's that good of a guy anymore. I wish I used to think, wow, what a fine businessman, but apparently not. Apparently, kind of a little bit of a pervert there, and so Bad Bunny is a heck of a deal. Coming up right here on Sterling Every Damn Night, Steve the Baker and Selena will be with us. And I look forward to speaking with them as well. You're listening to Peter Thiele, filling in for Walter M. Sterling on Sterling Every Damn Night. It is Peter Thiele right here on Sterling Every Damn Night, and you can find me on the X. I'm on the X that used to be called Twitter. At Peter Thiele, PeterThiele. I'm like the billionaire Peter Thiele, but I have an extra E and $7 billion of less money. Steve and Selena, the Bakers, how are you?
Hey, good evening,
Hi,
Peter.
we're very
It's great to be on with you.
Well, great having you.
Everything's going great at JB Bakery tonight. We're up all night making Reese's peanut butter stuffed brownies. These are fudge brownies stuffed with Reese's peanut butter. They're an excellent, the candy's really popular this time of year for Halloween. What you say?
Oh, I'll tell you what. Talk about delicious. I saw pictures of this. I mean, it's like crack cocaine. I would eat them all.
They probably allow these at Diddy parties over cocaine.
You see, if he would have used the wonderful brownies, and you'll explain the recipe, if they would have eaten these instead of snorting or drinking liquid cocaine, he wouldn't be in the trouble he's in right now.
He wouldn't have any issues at all, for sure. He should have just stuck with brownies and Reese's. But these are really good. We're making them at JB Bakery, and they're it's real simple, really simple fudge brownie recipe. But what's fun about these is, I'm sure a lot of people have purchased Reese's candy for their Halloween parties and their Halloween trick-or-treaters, so they could break open the bag early enough and make up these brownies. They could have a reason to enjoy Reese's peanut butter cups. So they're baked inside. So that's the catch. They're like loaded brownies. They're fudge brownies, and they're loaded with Reese's peanut butter cups baked inside of these brownies. So you get that wonderful chocolate peanut butter, taste with more chocolate fudge brownie. So that's what's really good about them. But Selena and I had this argument about whether it's Reese's or Reese's. So what do you think about that, Selena?
Selena, help us.
So I always grew up, I would always say Reese's, and now I catch myself saying Reese's, and I know it's a heated topic. Some people are very particular about how you say certain words. Reese's or Reese's is one of them. So that would definitely be something for the Midnight Misfits to comment. If you write in to get the recipe, let us know if it's Reese's or Reese's.
Yeah, I'd vote Reese's.
Well, I grew up watching E.T. in the movie theater. I'm pretty sure they said Reese's in the movie theater when I was watching E.T. when I was 8 years old. So I kind of remember from
Drew
that
Barrymore, she is a linguist to me.
Where's she at now?
It's just a talk show on TV.
I don't even know. She had one big role, and that was it.
So how do we get a hold of you guys to get to see this and go from there?
Well, they're going to have to write into Walter Sterling's email, waltersterling@gmail.com, to get the full recipe. Everything's real simple, laid out for the fudge brownie with Reese's peanut butter cup, and it has detailed instructions on how to make it. But we were saying, Selena and I were saying, like, if you're the type of, you're just driving in your car right now, you're working the night shift, you could stop at a 7-Eleven and grab a brownie at 7-Eleven. The brownies are actually pretty good. And grab a pack of Reese's and smash one of those Reese's peanut butter cups together with a brownie, and that's pretty much the brownie. So they get to try it without baking it. So we gave the truck drivers and the late night workers a little treat to try without having to do any baking.
That's a festive Halloween hack.
It's
a
perfect.
little simple thing that they could do. Yeah, Selena really likes them too.
Well,
I always love chocolate and peanut butter.
Well, no, come on. It's absolutely awesome together. It's the greatest invention. These peanut butter cups, probably one of the greatest inventions of all time.
It's definitely true.
That's why I always go up to the house, trick or treating when I was a kid, to get more Reese's. Whoever had the Reese's peanut butter cups, I'd go back up, sneak in the next group and put my bag out and grab another handful of Reese's.
No, I don't blame from there. All right, crew, thank you guys so much, and we'll have you on next week right here on Sterling Every Damn Night. You're listening, by the way. I'm Peter Thiele. I'm in for Walter M. Sterling tonight. Walter took a long weekend off so he could go and enjoy a festive family affair. There was a big festival in Brooklyn. I think he went to Brooklyn and with his bride, and it sounds like a great deal. I'm sure he'll have full play-by-play for next week, so I don't want to give up too much. I'm sitting here in my living room, studio, because I'm single. And so I don't need to have things, decorated. I'm in my living room studio, promptly, just doing a radio show with you. And we're going to talk about how these little creeps are dressing up for Halloween and what the big thing is. If you have an idea there, 888-688-WALT. 888-688-WALT is that number. And guys, how much time do I have left? We have our music getting us out. Excellent. Hey, you're listening to Sterling Every Damn Night. I'm Peter Thiele. That's all coming up right here. Woohoo!
Sterling Every Damn Night. Peter Thiele has sex appeal. Sterling Every Damn Night.
Yes, it is Peter Thiele, and I am in for Walter M. Sterling. Walter is taking a long weekend away with his fam. They're attending some soiree that happened in Brooklyn. I'm sure he'll have stories coming up from that. Sound like a great time to unwind, which is absolutely fantastic. We've been talking a lot of stuff right here on Sterling Every Damn Night, heard all over the United States. And again, thank you very much for listening. If you want to check in, feel free, 888-688-WALT. 888-688-WALT. All right. So we've been talking about Halloween. And the one thing we haven't gotten to, at least when I was a kid, you had... you didn't have the spirit of Halloween stores. You just had, you'd go to the grocery store, or you'd go to the clothing store, and you'd get these pre-made costumes with these plastic masks so you could look like Batman or Spider-Man or whoever you wanted to look like. And you'd put the mask on, and if it was warm out, you'd be sweating, and they smelled exactly like chemicals. Completely and utterly chemically based things. And you want to know how many forever chemicals were in these things. I'm curious, and I want to know how many people got the cancer because of these things. Is there a class action lawsuit? I want to know. So I remember going out and doing that. My mother, God bless her soul, she's no longer with us. Her claim to fame, I think only like 1 or 2 years did we have the chemically induced, outfits, disguises, as we went through. So I remember going through, and my mom made this thing about wanting to come up with her own costumes for us. And she'd ask what we wanted to be, and frequently it was whatever she wanted us to be. But it is what it is. So one year, my Uncle George was staying with us. He was in town. He and my dad were part of the same company, and he was visiting. And so he drew on a paper bag. Remember paper bags? They're awesome when you go to the grocery store. So he drew a picture of a baby. He goes, Uncle George. And we got it like 2 or 3 doors down. And the lady of the house, who knew my parents, also knew my Uncle George, she reached in and grabbed a pint of whiskey. And she goes, go home right now and don't you try it. So we did. Delivered the whiskey to Uncle George. It was strong. It was a strong holiday choice. And your observations, by the way, for the wonders of Halloween, 888-688-WALT on and again, by the way, this whole trunk and treat thing, I think is a scam. And, childhood obesity is a real thing, right? They keep telling us that, so it must be so. So we have chubby cherubs not even walking anywhere to get, more candy than they know what to do with. It's like a dentist's nightmare. So these trunk and treat events, I think, churches do them, schools do them. There's a wide variety of trunk and treat events. And I suggest that they are probably one of the great evils of modern day society. Because the search of the neighborhood, looking for awesome chocolatey goodness, getting Starburst, those were good. Now, you can't get these. My favorite candy, by the way, and I saw this when I was at Walmart the other day, are the fake sugary orange slices. Awesome. And I can taste it right now. I don't have any in the house. I don't have any candy in the house. But let me tell you, those suckers, I have to go run some errands tomorrow. I get to go have my flu shot. Had your flu shot yet? It's, I swear to you, every time I've not had the flu shot, I've gotten the flu and gotten sick as hell. So there you go. So your Halloween memories, 888-688-WALT. Peter Thiele in for Walter M. Sterling. It's the other note about Halloween and the experiences of just searching, combing the neighborhoods, combing the subdivisions. And you would all of a sudden see that group of kids in front of you. And if it was a large group and there were only 2 or 3 of you, you would veer off in a different direction because they would slow you down. And when those kids slowed you down, it kept you from getting the maximum amount of candy delights. And little kids with the parents, yeah, you got to get around them. If you had to skip a house or two, worth it. Absolutely worth it. Because you'd be able to cover many more homes. Get as much candy as humanly possible. The other thing about this, and again, the evil of trunk and treat. As you go from home to home, you're building, you're basically helping your body. So our chunky cherubs who don't have enough physical activity, this is a great way to get them to go and do it. To be out. They say childhood obesity is a big deal. So that's my solution. Is, allow your children to run free. If you're dealing with a 10-year-old kid who doesn't know how to cross the street yet, you as a parental unit need to reassess your parenting abilities. You really do. You've got to reassess it because that is the most important thing. All right, coming up, it's Sterling every damn night. I'm Peter Thiele in for Walter M. Sterling. I want to get into the idea of what happened at Madison Square Garden today. And it is pretty awesome what happened. Kill Tony was there and made an impolite joke about folks about the island of Puerto Rico. Not about Puerto Rican people, just about the island of Puerto Rico. And if you don't know who Kill Tony is, I'll explain it. Coming up right here on Sterling every damn night.
Sterling on Sunday.
Sterling every damn night. My name is Peter Thiele. I'm filling in for Sir Walter. He'll be back next week to enjoy from there. We've been talking a lot of different stuff today. Kill Tony, by the way, Tony Hinchcliffe. He was performing at the Trump Madison Square Garden rally, and he told a joke about Puerto Rico that didn't land. And if you don't know who Tony Hinchcliffe is in Kill Tony, it's a visual podcast. It's basically insult comedy. This is how big this guy is. He sold out Madison Square Garden 2 nights in a row. He sells out all over the country, not small little comedy clubs. We're talking about huge arenas. So he's an insult comic. That's his deal. Cracked a joke about the island of Puerto Rico, and it didn't land. It didn't work. Okay. Comedians do that. By the way, and I'm acquainted with, and I've interviewed interviewed once, Michael Ian Black, who's like a great comic, very politically different than me, kind of a left-winger. And he was like complaining about Tony Hinchcliffe. And I'm just going, dude, how many jokes have you told that didn't land? How many times did you tell a joke and the crowd just didn't get it, or it didn't come out right, or it wasn't a good joke, or it may have been insensitive, whatever. He's a stand-up comedian who is an insult comic. And to give you how big this guy is, he's on Netflix. The Kill Tony stuff's on Netflix. And he's by far the number one thing ever to be on Netflix is Kill Tony. By their previous number one thing of one episode of a show that was there's the Tom Brady roast. Got to be about 1 billion views. And views are like 5 seconds, 20 seconds. So people are going in, obviously, several times. Kill Tony did an episode with Adam, now my mind went blank with his last name, who plays Dr. Phil, who does the fake Dr. Phil, as Joe Biden. And Shane Gillis as Donald Trump. 2.5 billion views of that episode on Netflix. Biggest ever. So he's huge. And the idea here that Tony Hinchcliffe was at this event and one of the speakers for at the Madison Square Garden event is huge. It's a bigger deal. The Harris campaign and Walz campaign, they've been figuring out how to appeal to men. And today, the least masculine man in the entire world, Tim Walz, decided to play Madden with AOC. And if you think I'm joking about this, I'm not. So AOC and Tim Walz were playing Madden on Twitch. Yeah, this is how people go in and decide, wow, these folks, this feller is a masculine man. And Tim Walz is, and this is not a slight, but he's a flamboyant feller. Flamboyant. Has some mannerisms. Not that there's anything wrong with that. And by the way, Tony Hinchcliffe, Kill Tony, gay guy. So there you go. And so that is sort of what has occurred there. So trying to get male voters, this is turning into the big thing. Now, generally with presidential elections, this is going to be the heaviest thing maybe I get into this tonight. There are two groups that are essential. It's 90% of African American votes going to Democrats with a big voter turnout. Huge. The Hispanic community is much more segmented. The other one is Catholic voters. Now, people often say, well, Catholic voters, they're not monolithic. They're all over the place. They're Roman Catholic voters who are liberal on things, conservative on things, pro-abortion rights on things, anti-abortion rights on things. There's a wide variety, a wide swath. Going back like 50 years, whoever gets the white Catholic vote, which is like 70 million people, I mean, it's just a ton of people, wins the presidency. Joe Biden, Catholic. He got that. The only exception I found was the re-election of Barack Obama, where he very narrowly lost the white Catholic vote. Narrowly, like by a few points. But the turnout among the black community was so huge. And one of the big problems with Kamala Harris is that she's not really appealing to the black community. They don't see her as one of them. And go from there. And, hey, Kevin, you're on Sterling every damn night.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask, is it a fair question to ask you if you took the COVID shot since you talked about taking the flu shot?
I did it, and I did the first two boosters, and then I got COVID.
Okay.
And my personal physician told me there was no need for me to get additional boosters. There you go.
Okay. Very well. I mean, that's great. I was just wondering because you said you took the flu shot, but I just had a doctor I listened to last night. I listened to a talk radio in Syracuse on the weekends.
Nice.
And I can't quote who the doctor was and whatnot, but I know one of the shows. Anyways, this particular doctor said that when you take the flu shot, you have a 30% reduction in getting the flu. However, you have a 30% higher chance of getting COVID or RSV.
Well, thanks for calling, Kevin. You're listening to Sterling every damn night right here on the absolute Love network of Sterling every damn night. And coming up, we're going to talk about food trucks and why they suck. Next on Sterling every damn night.
Sex appeal, Sterling every damn night.
Peter Thiele in for Walter M. Sterling. It's Sterling every damn night. In fact, my pooch, Maggie, just came out, and she's sitting on my left geographically, if not politically. And she wants to be petted. So there you go. It's I normally, when I do a radio show, I put her in her kennel, mainly because that just settles her in. She's been really, really good up to now. So there you go. Hey, thanks again for Walter M. Sterling going through there. Now, I have a question for you. I find that most food trucks are not very good. There are some that are, but many are not. If you know of a good food truck in your area, we want to hear about it. 888-688-WALT. 888-688-WALT. Now, there's a chain, there's a franchise food truck that comes through here in Des Moines. But it's in Missouri and Colorado and Wyoming and Nebraska. It's all over the place. Maybe in your state. It's On the Hook, where they do fresh cod, fresh Alaskan cod, and they batter it up real good, and they fry it up, and they serve it with a tartar sauce, a branded tartar sauce nonetheless. And they have chowder, and it's pretty good. And I'll go out, and it's not overly priced. That's the other problem I have with food trucks. A lot of times food trucks, the food may be okay, but it's insanely expensive. It's this particular one, which is the chain on the Hook. And I'm not getting a VIG from them, by the way. They're not giving me any extra, I'm not showing up and getting free catfish from them. Or cod. They serve cod. It's reasonably priced. You can go to a fast food restaurant and spend $15 at the drive-thru. Really not trying. I went through one of the drive-thrus. I went through McDonald's, their breakfast drive-thru. I was out of town for a couple of days, and I was traveling along. And for whatever reason, while traveling, going and having that McDonald's breakfast is a solid traveling choice, along with corn nuts and having corn nuts in the car. So I picked up their breakfast, and I didn't get anything that crazy, and it was like $11. I think I got the sausage, bacon, and egg McMuffin type meal there, and I think I ordered an extra hash browns, because their hash browns are pretty good. It was like, again, it was like $11, $12. It was, it was not cheap. And so if you can go to a food truck and get a reasonably solid meal, for $16, I like going and doing that. But I want to know what your thoughts are on food trucks. Do you find them, and everybody sort of likes the idea, we're doing a little festival and food trucks are coming. Ooh, food trucks. And again, they just, very rarely do you find one that's any good. Just isn't. And I'm sad to say that, by the way. I like the idea that you go to a food truck and you find something neat. And a lot of times these people who have a food truck, well, their goal is to have a restaurant. But they don't have the money. They don't have the capital. Uncle Ernie is not giving them, $300,000 to open up a restaurant. So they get a used truck and they get the equipment and they get into it. And, and you hope that these people have at least some monicum of ability to create cuisine. I think some people just go into it. Yeah, have you ever watched that Kitchen Nightmares show? That goofy Brit? Well, frequently there are people who just impulse buy a restaurant, a failing restaurant, mind you. And my favorite episode that I saw with them, the lady I was involved with for a while, that was her deal. She loved watching the Kitchen Nightmares. And husband and wife buy this restaurant, picturesque, in the middle of nowhere. And neither of them cook. Neither of them cook at all. And when they bought the restaurant, which was still open, all the employees quit. So they didn't know how to cook. They found a cook to go through it, but it seemed like this feller may have had, shall we say, underlying chemical issues. He looked like he may have been, enjoying the pink cocaine in the meth. And or maybe he'd been to a Diddy party and had the liquid cocaine. I don't know. But, these people go in it and, so the folks who want to open a restaurant, they're in love with it. And by the way, if you've ever worked in a restaurant, it is backbreaking work. It's very hard work. And you open up your own restaurant, you better be expected to cook, be the waiter or waitress, be the host or hostess, to do everything in there, do the dishes, clean the floors, do the whole thing. Very, very difficult work. And I appreciate people who open up restaurants. And I like it. But a lot of times the first foray is as a food truck. And you go in and you're able to go and get an actual real physical location and maybe get a second location. And the food truck becomes the side business. That's the deal. The other thing about food trucks, which are attractive, is, of course, is that they can be anywhere. They can be on one block, 1 week, one Thursday, and then a mile down the road the next day. They can be all over the place. Sometimes they can be in two different locations at the same time. I went to a VFW thing where they were doing, they had a lot of stuff in the community going on. And I figured, what the heck? I brought my dog down and went to that, and they had a bunch of food trucks. And, I had something from each food truck. And, God bless these people wanting to do this, but they're trying to turn this into a full-time living. Not so good. So if you have a food truck story for me, 888-688-WALT, W-A-L-T. And by the way, how long do I go back with Walter M. Sterling? I have been a friend of Walter's for 25 years. He's one of my very best friends. And you guys are lucky to have him on this show. This is such a great show. And I love listening to it. And I really appreciate the Midnight Misfits and everything that goes on with it, because it's so strong. Coming up, what do I have on my list? See, I have a list of show prep that I want to go out and bring to you. All right. On social media, on LinkedIn and Facebook, I have a squadron of, I believe, Chinese women who want to befriend me. What should I do? Coming up right here on Sterling every damn night. It is Peter Thiele in for Walter M. Sterling every damn night. Talking about food trucks, I think they're expensive and many of them are not, food's not that good. Maggie in Kansas, you are on Sterling every damn night.
Hey, good evening. How's everybody doing?
Great. Me and the crew, we doing well.
Well, I'd like to tell you a story. It's a true story about my awesome boss, Corey Nubley, okay, that started with in a food truck with his brother, David Nubley. And they started in their food truck for a couple of years, and now they own 2 restaurants since 2015, Nub's Pub in Shawnee, Kansas, and Pizza West, 3 doors down. They don't buy anything from Cisco or any place like that. They make everything from scratch. Pizza dough, the food, the gravy, everything. Corey and David are there from open to close every single day but Monday when they're closed. And let me tell you, I am a hostess and a waitress and a dishwasher at both these places. And for 2 months, I didn't tell but a few people that I was homeless. In June and July, you know, there was a little issue with my rent. And finally, Corey asked me, he said, Maggie, is everything okay? I said, yes and no. He goes, Maggie, I know you show up for work all the time, but I could tell there's something wrong. You're not as true as you used to be. Just tell me the truth. You could always tell me, you know, what it is that's bothering you. I worked with the man for 2 years. So I told him about me being homeless. You know what this man did? He went ahead and put a deposit down on an apartment for me, paid for everything for me to move into the first month's rent, and is just taking out like $50 out of every payday. I mean, come on, what kind of boss does that? You know,
nope. That's the beauty about local business people. Thank you for the call, Maggie. And yeah, that's good. Local business people, that's what they do all the time. Joe from Arkansas, you're on Sterling every damn night.
Yeah, Peter, doing a good job there. We have a little square in Salem, Arkansas that has one restaurant that closes at 2 or earlier if they get a chance. And people have nothing to eat unless you bring your own or go home and eat. So we got 2 food trailer guys. One's named Steve. It's called Not Your Mama's, Better Than Your Mama's. And then the other guy is King's Fish and Chips, and he's got authentic English fish and chips, and he does beer batter and stuff. But now Steve over there at the Mama's place, now he comes and goes from another town and just leaves everything set up. He's all homemade, and that's what's catching on, home cooking and good cooking. And most everything at both places doesn't go much over $10. That $15 and up, that don't fly down here in the Ozarks.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you very much, Joe. I really appreciate it. You are listening to Sterling every damn night right here on
Mission Control, it stops. It stops.
exclusively right here on Peter Thiele, by the way. This is Sterling every damn night. Walter takes the weekend off. I'm sure he'll give you a big play-by-play next week. He was up to some exciting stuff. Then he went to Brooklyn. Dave Scott, how are you?
Doing good, Peter. How you doing tonight? Are you keeping the aliens away or what?
You know, I'm doing what I can. I frequently, though, reach out and say, please take us away from here or send us that meteorite. The sweet meteor of death. Please send that.
Yeah, I can see why. The world's all in a hell in a handbasket right now, so I don't think that's a bad request, but it would kind of suck if Darwin was right and our consciousness didn't go forward, moving on to some other Earth-like planet where we could hopefully have some beers and watch a hockey or football game.
You see, that would be good, and it's which football team do you cheer for?
You know, I don't know. This is the ultimate debate I've been having with myself for the last number of years. I don't know which NFL team I'm a big fan of because I like a lot of them. I do. I really do. I love, teams like on the East Coast. Like I love the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm not just saying that because we're on the East Coast here, but I also love on the West Coast. I love the Seattle Seahawks. I love the San Francisco 49ers. I'm just a fan of the game. I just like a good game.
Yeah, well, you see, there you go. I grew up, my dad with his fraternity brothers, they were original season ticket holders during their college days of the Minnesota Vikings. So I live by the absolute horror it is every week for how this wonderful team goes out and fails me every year and just rips apart my stuff. So UFOs, I like them. I believe they're there. Our universe, it's. I'll give you my line here, Dave, and you may disagree with me on that, and that's fine. I believe that our universe is the size of a pea compared to the greater scope of landscape beyond we can see.
I totally agree with you. I 100% agree with you. And I don't think that's out of the realm of imagination whatsoever. You know, we don't know whether you're I'm going to put it this way, whether you're a creationist or whether you are an evolutionist.
Yes.
The one thing that we do not know and we do not have the answers to is, are there older civilizations than ours out in the universe? I recently interviewed on Spaced Out Radio a gentleman named Dr. John Brandenburg, who is a theoretical physicist very much involved in the UFO world. And he was telling me, like, even if you look at Mars, he says the evidence that shows on Mars shows that about 1 million years ago, maybe sooner, there was actually a nuclear war that killed that planet. He said the evidence of water is there. We know it has poles. We know by the photographs that there is radiation energy on the planet. And he goes, everything that he has read and studied up on, because he had that ability to do it, shows that at one point it looks like Mars was colonized, not by humans, but by whatever it was. And how it came to extinction, we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know about it. I know the scientists have said that there was some sort of cataclysm, and it could have been a nuclear war, that ended the idea of the inner core of Mars creating the type of force field that the Earth has. We're very, very blessed. We have this core, this molten core that keeps us safe.
Absolutely. And you know, if Elon Musk gets his way over the next 20 to 50 years, the scary part about it is when we put humans up on Mars, and if we're able to help create an atmosphere there or just live there in general, those who are born on Mars due to the gravity and the environment will never be able to travel to Earth because Earth's atmosphere and gravity will literally crush their bones. How weird is that?
No, that's fantastic. And terraforming, how far, and the theory of terraforming, it's Dave Scott right here on Sterling Every Damn Night. I'm Peter Thiele. Is that terraforming is essentially creating an atmosphere on a planet that does not have one that's hospitable to human life. It's how far away are we from terraforming?
Oh, I think we're decades away because according to current science, from what I have read on it and what I have heard and listening to Elon Musk talk about it, obviously, because he wants to colonize the moon somehow, or the Mars, pardon me, somehow, some way, we are going to have to create some sort of nuclear capable explosion on one of the poles or both of the poles simultaneously to send the CO2 from the water there into the atmosphere to create an atmosphere. And that's what they believe, something along those lines, will actually terraform the planet back to potentially what it was.
Now, I'll tell you what, I'm so fascinated with this, and I believe, again, it's just humanity has a problem, and our problem is ego. We think we know it all, and we think we have everything in place.
Hugely.
We don't know anything, really. We probably know a fingerprint of the actual way the universe works. You know, so-called, or not so-called, the theoretical physicists and physicists in general have been questioning over the theory of dark matter in space. They know what it is. They think they know what it does, but they cannot define it, and they don't know exactly where it is, but they know it's there. And when they find dark matter, that's going to be the game changer.
Well, the other thing that's going to be a game changer, too, to throw a wrench in what you're saying, and I'm saying a good wrench, not a bad wrench, is if UFOs are actually coming here from other planets, other solar systems, whatever it may be, there is a theoretical thought that these craft have somehow been able to work their way through wormholes in order to travel here at this faster than the speed of light. So they could be 40, 50, 100, 1,000 light years away, and they're able to get here within minutes because they've been able to figure out a way how to capture these wormholes. It's almost like Star Trek. If you remember Star Trek with the USS Enterprise, where all of a sudden they go to warp drive and all of a sudden all the stars become like a tunnel. That's what we're talking about here. Okay? And that way they're able to do that to get here. Now, the other point I want to bring about the theoretics here, that we basically know a pinhole here. We know a lot, but one of the things we don't know is certain things. We don't know what a baby dreams. We don't know what's at the bottom depths of the ocean. We don't know what ghosts are. We don't know what life after death means. Do we have any sort of multi-dimensional, multi-universe theories happening where timelines are running concurrently all around us, and we don't even know? We don't know how UFOs get here. We don't know why people still see monsters. For instance, in native lore, the Thunderbird. If the Thunderbird were alive today, Peter, imagine the bird dropping it would have. It would paint a house, a car, trees, but we don't see that. Yet people are seeing the Thunderbirds. It's very interesting of what we're seeing and reporting, but we have no answers.
Yeah, and I, by the way, believe the Thunderbird to be the California condor, which is a huge, huge bird, which was common in ancient times all over North America. But even by the time European settlers came, it was basically a bird that was in very narrow areas in the West Coast. So, but it used to be all over that thing and all over our North American continent. And we as Native Americans having that's sort of what I believe it is. But, far be it from me. All I know is that, aliens, please come. We want you to visit. And please help food trucks get better.
Oh, God, everybody. You know what? Food trucks are like the modern version of podcasting, where everybody and their dog has to have a podcast, and now everybody and their dog has to have a food truck. You ever notice that?
Yeah, there's a bunch of them, and I'm just going, okay, can you cook? And are you actually getting money? Is this just like a money pit? Is a food truck the money pit you never get money out of?
I have no idea, but I don't do a lot of food trucks. I really can say that. I don't. I got this fear of food trucks, man.
Well, you know what? Botulism is a thing. So, Dave Scott, thank you for the UFO update.
See you soon.
Yep, have a good one. It's Dave Scott, everybody. I'm Peter Thiele, and I'm here on Sterling every damn night. We've been talking about the UFOs, food trucks, Halloween. If you want to weigh in, 888-688-WALT, 888-688-WALT. And coming up, and by the way, you can always find me on my website, voiceoverpeter.com, voiceoverpeter.com. All right, coming up, we have a wide cadre from UFOs to Bigfoots to the whole all stuff coming up right here on Sterling every damn night. It's Peter Thiele. I am on for Walter M. Sterling and Sterling every damn night nationwide. And just thrilled to being with you. We've been talking a little bit about food trucks. I find many of them overpriced, and sometimes the food not so good. And it's usually a starter set for somebody who wants to own their own restaurant. What's your entryway? Well, your entryway is to have a food truck. And yeah, there seems to be a lot of them. And some of them are good. A lot of them are not. Most of the time, they're very, very expensive, and they don't have a real good system. Yeah, I'm curious how many people start a food truck and they've never worked in a restaurant before, have never been a part of anything like that. I'd be very interested. We're also talking about UFOs. They like food trucks too, and by the way, the whole UFO thing, it's almost impossible to think that in our great universe there's not an advanced species such as ourselves. It's almost impossible to think. There are millions of stars. There's galaxy upon galaxy. And, you remember this thing from school. They were talking about, well, how did life develop on the planet? And the idea is that there was no life in the universe, and the only life was here. And it was started by an ooze that all of a sudden life randomly animated itself from. Well, if you buy that, you can buy almost anything. Now, there have been several theories that have gone through, and one of the things that we've begun to know is that, life does exist in outer space, outside the space station. They find living, microscopic life. They have found signs of life on Mars. They have found these things that are in place. So the theory is that the world was seeded by something called panspermia. And so panspermia was either a random or purposefully set up thing where Earth was seeded with life all those millions of years ago. And I kind of like the term panspermia. It has, it's all good. All right, coming up, more with your friend, Peter Thiele, in for Sterling every damn night.
Now, more of Sterling on Sunday, 98.1 KMBZ.
What's the weather about today? What's the weatherman say? Will it be cloudy up there? Will it be cold out there? Will it be a happy fair? What's the weather today?
Sterling every damn night weather from Miami and Mendocino. This is meteorologist Dr. Dave Iser. A series of storms off the Pacific near the Bay of Alaska will bring cooler temperatures and periods of gusty westerly winds and rain showers to the Pacific Northwest and to Northern California, and some high elevation snows to the Sierra, Cascades, and the Rockies. Now allow extra time to travel, as roads will be very slick with the first showers in a while, mixing with all that oil stuff on the roads. You know how that goes. Near to below normal temperatures are also expected through the week. A 50-50 chance of showers in Sacramento tomorrow, with a high in the mid-60s most of the week. Rainfall is light, below a quarter of an inch in most places, but in the higher elevations we'll get some more. Further south, a wind advisory for Las Vegas tomorrow. Gusts out of the south-southwest at 25 miles an hour. Highs in the 70s. Cooler Tuesday and Wednesday with highs in the 60s. And we've also got some high clouds up in the sky from a dying Hurricane Christy about 1,000 miles off the Baja coast out in the Pacific. Sunset should be pretty spectacular. Enjoy the weather, even though It's going to be a little bit rainy, but we need the wet stuff. This is meteorologist Dr. Dave Iser with weather reports at 6 and 36 past every hour, only right here on Sterling every damn night.
More news, day and night around the clock, it's your news. You get it all when you set your time to Sterling every damn night. Sterling every damn night. Sterling every damn night. Peter Thiele has sex appeal. Sterling every damn night.
I'm Peter Thiele, in for Walter Sterling on Sterling Every Damn Night. Walter is enjoying a wonderful time in Brooklyn. A fine weekend of happenings there. And so I think that sounds like a lot of fun. I love New York City. I love Philadelphia. Sacramento, by the way. KFBK, big affiliate of ours right here on Sterling Every Damn Night. They have a chain Mexican restaurant called Jim Boy's Tacos, which is amazing. Amazing. Next time I get to fill in, we're going to talk about, we're going to get into talking about the different foods and places to go when you visit. I lived in San Antonio for a while, and essentially, the Riverwalk's kind of cool to go do. Go there and have an appetizer and a beverage. All the restaurants suck. They're all terrible. So that's a little secret. You go through, the further out you go, the better the restaurants go. It's just crazy. Get away from the tourist trap and be able to do that. The food truck thing, again, everybody loves food trucks. There's a chain that's in a bunch of states that may or may not be in yours. It's called On the Hook, and they do deep fried cod. This is it's not health food. French fries have a nice cod taste to them, which is, I find, lovely. They do a chowder, which is also very good, and it's reasonably priced, which most of these food trucks are not. They are just not, reasonably priced. So a week from Tuesday, we're going to be heading to the polls to vote on whether we want a return of Donald Trump to become number 47 or Kamala Harris as 47. And you keep hearing this thing about having a plan to vote. Like you have to script this out. Here's the deal. Now, over 50% of Americans apparently have already voted early. I don't do that. I'm a curmudgeon. I like voting on Election Day. I like going in, standing in line, voting and greeting the workers who are there at the polls, who are, most of them have volunteered their time, just depending on the state you're in. Go there, greet, go through, make my decision on voting, and move along. And I'm going to tell you, if you have to plan to go to the polls, it's not that good of a deal. Here's the other thing that's brought up over and over again. Oh, my employer won't let me vote. Nearly every employer will make Election Day stuff for you to vote. Nearly every one. Now, you may have a thing where you have to be at the office. You work in a restaurant, for instance. You have to be there for the lunch hour or breakfast or whatever. Most businesses are going to go out of their way to make sure that you have a chance to go vote. I have never had an employer say, you know what, Peter? Hey, you can't vote today. Yeah, we don't want you voting. So they say to make a plan, like you have to draw this out. You don't. Go to your polling place, go from there. Here's the other thing. All of us, if you have a government ID, you're registered to vote, or at least we're given the option of it. We have all these people out there trying to register people to vote, and now that's pretty much wrapped up now. I'm just going to tell you, if you haven't figured out, you've registered to vote. You have a government ID, you've registered to vote. There's nothing holding you back. Find out where your polling place is. And here's what I did this weekend. I actually, I know they moved around polling places. I just wanted to make sure it was the place I've gone to. So I went to the Secretary of State's office, put in my address. And my polling spot has not changed. I'm going to a church. You may be going to a school, or maybe the Elks Lodge. Elks Lodge is very strong because after you vote, you can go to the bar and have something to drink. VFW or the American Legion, same deal. Get there and pour yourself, get yourself a cheap beer or maybe a well drink of some sort. Or how the Nature Boy Ric Flair, he has cranberry vodkas. That's what he drinks. So there you go. That's the deal there. So you don't need a plan. I will say this. I'll give you my prediction on what's going on here in the election. You can tell right now by the attitudes of the campaigns what's happening. And over the last few days, the Harris campaign trotted out Michelle Obama, who has basically been out of it, and she's angry. She's like yelling at people. Kamala Harris is now yelling at people. I thought this was the Joy campaign. The Trump campaign seems like they have all the momentum in the world. Now, of course, Trump may win and lose the popular vote, but the popular vote really is sort of a red herring. States elect presidents, not the people. People of each state elect a president, but they go through and depending on the law and the rules of that state, they go in and go from there. Now, there's a real project to end the Electoral College, which would be devastating in the United States, be devastating because mainly it would be two coasts running the country. Realize that from like Boston through D.C. and you go a couple hundred miles inland from the Atlantic, you have almost 1 out of 3 Americans in that space. So it is, it's human rich. And the founding fathers wrote about early and often about the idea of the tyranny of the majority. And our government was never meant to be a democracy. And if you don't believe me, read any of the founding documents. That was what they were very, very concerned about. Pure democracy is that everything can go in and you can vote yourself anything. Well, you have to slow the roll. You have to slow the roll. And the most important thing is that we go out and make sure you go vote. Make sure you go through. You don't need a plan. In fact, if you're concerned about your job and letting you vote, just say, hey, boss lady or boss man, can I show up? I want to vote on my way into work. I should arrive near on time. But if I'm a few minutes late, that's why. Is that okay? And I guarantee you, your boss will say, yeah, that's fine. Go vote. Be a part of it. So there you go. And, and I prefer that as many people vote as possible. But if you have not educated yourself on the issues and the candidates, and you may not be of every race, you don't have to vote in everything. Vote what you know. And that would be very helpful as well. You're listening to Sterling Every Damn Night. I'm Peter Thiele. And again, thank you very much for being a part of this show. It's Peter Thiele wrapping up tonight's Sterling every damn night. Walter will be back next week. What a treat it has been to be with you. It's and I'm going to tell you as we get closer to this election thing, and is that if you believe the polls and Kamala Harris is losing men with every group. It's not, it is, she's lost a lot of men, has a huge deficit among men, unprecedented amount of deficit. The last way you're going to get into them is yelling. It's, you want to, if you want to attract the male vote, being a woman yelling at a man ain't the way to do it. We don't want to hear that. We don't want to hear it from our wives. We don't want to hear it from our girlfriends. We don't want to hear it from our side pieces. We don't want to hear it from people who are applying for a job to work for us, being the president of the United States. And we often forget that these people who are asking for our votes in just a little over a week, they're applying for a job. Now, a lot of times we choose who we like because we're a member of one party or another, or maybe there's a particular issue that we like, whatever that may be, that and we vote for that issue or we vote for that party. There's a lot of people that just don't want to be talked down to. If you're applying for the job, ask for the job. Be polite and courteous. Crack a joke. You're never building a friendship by yelling at somebody. This whole thing of Kamala Harris and others referring to Donald Trump as a Nazi. He's not a Nazi. Nazis were really bad guys, and we overplay that. Again, thank you very much for listening, and I really appreciate it. And maybe Walter will have me back one day when he's out of town. Sterling every damn night. I'm Peter Thiele. And again, thank you, and especially you.
Walter M. Sterling.